Cool.
Happy Friday, everyone. This is Radio Sheridan, live from the historic Rogers Park neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois. This is a show about whatever the hell we feel like, and on the panel tonight we have...
Charles Spagozzi.
And...
Julian Newman.
And yours truly, William Bermudez. So, what's going on, guys?
Not much. It's typical Friday. It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that it got so cold so quickly. I mean, I was just wearing a short sleeve shirt. I'm still actually with short sleeve shirt to work, and I was downright chilly coming back. How was the weather in Kazakhstan?
It was actually pretty similar to how it was here. I would say like 70s. I don't know what that translates into to Celsius. I guess that makes me a bad world citizen.
I mean, well, but, actually, there's a formula. It's 70 to. Let me actually, I can do this real quick. I know how to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius.
It's something like maybe like 15, 20
something like that,
Celsius.
Yeah.
Let's see. 20 times 1.8 is let's see, 36 plus 32 would be 68. So yeah, that's
68.
Right. Yep, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it got kind of chill in Kazakhstan too. That's what friends are telling me.
Yeah, I understand that their president is basically a president in quotes.
Yeah. So his name is Nursultan Nazarbayev, and he has been involved in Soviet politics basically since the 1970s. He was the only Kazakh representative on the Security Council, or basically Stalin and Brezhnev and Khrushchev's advisors. He was the only Kazakh on the panel, or on the council, and he basically just took power in Kazakhstan in the 90s and has won elections with over 90% of the votes ever since.
Okay, so he's basically won elections that is it that everybody's afraid to vote in the is it that they're afraid to vote against him because it might get found out, or is it actually
No, it's more just like there's no real opposition because oppositioners are not.
Yeah.
Okay, like they're would you say they're suppressed in some way?
Yeah, I mean, like people who protest do get sent to prison. That's pretty.
That's not fun.
Normal there. Yeah,
no, it's not fun at all.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of like my girlfriend went to China when she was really young, and I'm honestly kind of like I'm reluctant to ever visit there because I don't want to go to a place where you can get disappeared if you say the wrong thing about the government. Honestly,
I don't know. I mean, with China, it might be like if you're a foreigner, they like might not give you as hard of a time. I know that's like true at least in Russia. Like there's a fair amount of foreign journalists in like Moscow and St. Petersburg who write stuff about the government that.
Well, it's like you got to worry about being conned, because especially in China, if you're a tourist,
you're an easy target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Wikipedia page that lists all the different types of cons you should look out for if you go to China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there's this one popular one. It's like the tea house con, where they invite you to this traditional looking tea house, and at the end of it, after getting, I guess, tea and like traditional food, they charge you a bunch of money, and you're stuck there, and you have to pay the bill. If you don't, they'll call the cops or.
Yeah. So funny story about getting conned in Asia. As soon as I got off the plane for Kazakhstan, I had no sleep. I was not in a great mental state. Very tired, and I went through the border security. And I walked out and was immediately accosted by two very aggressive taxi people who basically just took me to an ATM and charged me a lot of money. To give people an idea, a cab ride that's like maybe like a mile and a half, 2 miles in Kazakhstan is about the equivalent of $2, and these guys charged me $80. Damn. So that was
it's a lot.
Pretty unfortunate.
Fuck.
$80.
I just pulled up a website, travelscams.org. This is the 25 most common tourist scams in China. So let's take a look here. Okay, we have fake. Here we go. Flower girls. This is gonna be interesting.
What?
Okay, you will find these little girls with flowers roaming crowded public transportation hubs, targeting foreign couples. What they will do is to pass the flower to the female, then hold on tight to her leg, not letting go until you pay up for the overpriced flower. She's actually part of a gang and will have a few more accomplices around who may either surround and pressure you or pick your pockets.
Oh.
Flower gang.
Flower gang. Yeah. OG Flower gang. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. We got overcharging taxis. Oh, three-wheeled rickshaw drivers. Okay. This sounds.
They have rickshaws in China.
I guess so.
Of course.
Very traditional Oriental stuff there. Just like the tuk-tuks in Thailand and Vietnam, avoid this unless you want to be scammed, unless it's a really short trip, even then it's not recommended. Also, don't be fooled by their friendly demeanor. Many of them can be really friendly and charming as they're extremely experienced in dealing with or scamming tourists. For instance, even if you have agreed a price and even paid before the trip, the driver can claim to have heard it wrongly initially. He will bring you to a secluded spot and demand a higher fee. If you refuse to pay, you will be lost.
Oh.
These are found in the touristy spots like Forbidden City or Beijing Workers Club, but really they can be anywhere tourists frequent.
Huh.
That sucks.
Very interesting. Let's find another one. One more for China. Let's see. Oh boy, the shoe sign scam. Here we go.
I mean, that's not just in China though.
It says in Turkey it's common also.
Oh.
Speaking of Turkey, have you guys seen the video of them burning American money?
No,
I've seen a video of them doing that in Russia. It's a bunch of old pensioner women burning like iPhones and iPads
Really?
and $100 bills.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me honestly.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like people were making a lot of jokes about it. Like there was like some guys, I believe in Istanbul, burning American money, and then that was like a couple of weeks before their economy basically collapsed. So now people are saying, shouldn't have burned that money. It's worth a lot. It's worth a lot there now. Okay, so that's a shoe shine one. Yeah, fake like overpriced silk jade jewelry and pearl. Like, this is pretty.
Well, speaking of foreign countries, I know like a while back, I think it was summer. Julian, you mentioned that like, I guess more of a joke going to North Korea.
What?
Going to North Korea as vacation.
Oh yeah, we were gonna go to North Korea.
Yeah. Oh boy.
For vacation.
Well, you'd have to go through China.
Yes. You do have to fly through China for that.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a book that came out a couple years ago by a fellow by the name of John Sweeney. He's a BBC journalist who did a very famous expose of Scientology. It's called North Korea Undercover. I read it recently, and he basically goes through all the ritual that you're obligated to do on a North Korean tour, for example.
Oh, wait, no, you're obligated to do this stuff?
I mean,
yes.
If you've ever seen the Vice documentary, that was like one of their most famous kind of...
Right.
Yeah, one of the most famous traditions. You are basically, for example, when you pass a statue of Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of Kim Jong-un, you are obligated to bow 3 times in front of him.
What?
Yeah. Let me make sure I got that right.
Oh, no, fuck that. 3 times?
Kim Il-sung bowing. Let me just
Why 3?
Because
isn't 3 unlucky?
Depending
why isn't just once good enough?
Well, depending on the culture, it could be okay.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay.
I don't think that's the reason for North Korea, but
no, actually, it's interesting you mentioned that because John Sweeney actually did sort of compare it to that, like Korea, the father being Kim Il-sung rather, the son being Kim Jong-il, and the Holy Spirit being Kim Jong-un. The current here we go.
Oh, that's fucked.
All right. Australian Broadcasting Company. Here we go. Games of North Korea, how myth and propaganda is a family dynasty.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me just control F for bowing.
Really?
Here's a picture of it right here. Workers bow before statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il at a monument in Pyongyang. And that looks like so that's like sort of like what you basically have to do in front of them. They're also treated basically like demigods in that country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else interesting? Like, see, we have here the framed portraits on the sides of buildings, kind of like we see with Mao Zedong in the capital there.
In Turkmenistan, if you're familiar with Turkmenbashi, they have all kinds of bizarre laws, including making people, before they receive driver's licenses, memorize a book of proverbs that were written by Turkmenbashi, their dear leader. And also, you're only allowed to drive a white car there.
What?
Yeah.
And also, there's a limit to the wedding sizes.
Really?
Yeah. And maybe the most crazy one is that you're not allowed to bring anything with a portrait of Turkmenbashi's face into the bathroom, and that includes a newspaper. So, you know, if a cop catches you reading a newspaper with the dude's face on it, like...
And you're fucked.
Might have to go to a Turkmeni prison.
Yeah, go
That's-
to the.
Ever been to a Turkmeni prison?
No, I don't
I
want
can't-
that.
I can't say I have.
Well,
I cannot say I have.
Yeah, okay, this is kind of change of topic, kind
That's
of
fine.
random, but you mentioned that, like, the prison that apparently in Russia that they found that, I guess this, if you're going to relate this to, say, like, how future bacterial infections are resisting antibiotics, that I've heard there are like, if you go to Russian prisons, there are strains of, like tuberculosis that resist antibiotics, and it's
sure
really
there are.
fucked up.
Russian prison is not a nice place.
Not at all.
I mean, prison anywhere is not a nice place, but
No, I mean, like if you think about like North Korean, like literal concentration
Oh
camps.
yeah. You can find those on Google Earth.
You can indeed, yeah. If you look at if you
You
know
can't
where
like zoom in on that far. But
right, you can like there are like defectors have basically explained where the camps are, and you can verify that on Google Maps. Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, that's what's happening in the world today. I mean, that stuff is happening, and nobody in power wants to discuss it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in China they treat their ethnic minorities very, very badly, including Uyghurs.
Yeah,
in,
Uyghurs especially.
And then the western part of the country bordering Kazakhstan.
The Muslim minority, essentially, in China.
Yeah. Yes. And there's a very long article that I read about basically just concentration camp conditions for the millions of people. And I mean, China being a police state and all
it's
that.
interesting you haven't heard like the past maybe 10 or so years about Tibetan independence movement, because that was always very big, especially in the late 90s.
Is that still a thing? I remember that growing up.
Let me Google Free Tibet really quick, because that was a slogan for it for so long.
Free Tibet.
Free Tibet, let's see, is a non-profit. Okay, so actually Free Tibet is an NGO based that it was started in 1987.
Go to google.cn and see what comes up.
Is there actually google.cn?
I think there is, yeah.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
CN is also the Hong Kong
comes
link.
up.
Okay, okay, here we go.
Oh.
Free Tibet. Yeah, it pops up the same results as we normally would.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, none of us can read Chinese, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I didn't know anybody that can read Chinese. Let's see. I don't think so. I know people that can read
Chinese
Japanese.
friends.
I know people that can read Japanese, but not Chinese.
My roommate from last year's Chinese.
Okay, Nathan might know some of it. Like he actually might.
Oh yeah, he was learning a little Chinese, right?
Next time he's into town, we gotta bring him on the show because he'll be able to help out with a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
That'd be good. Yeah. So let's see. I have an idea actually. Let me pull up the VPN on here. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see what countries we can connect to and pretend that we're actually part of. So, all right. VPN's active. We are broadcasting in the United States. Let's go to China. What the hell? Let's set up a virtual network in China. Let's see what happens. All right. Let's refresh this page. No, that doesn't work anymore.
Right now we're on Facebook.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. And let me get that out of the way here.
Just to let the listeners know, this is our test video.
It is indeed.
So,
we are not currently live on the air right now.
Not.
This is a completely pre-recorded episode, just meant to test audio levels.
Very unorganized.
Very much so, but not that it really matters. Let's go to Google.com. We are on a private virtual network in China. As we look up Google, it does show up.
It does come up, yeah.
It does. Matter of fact,
look up what's the president's name of China?
Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Look up like criticism or something. Oh, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so the top stories we have 3 top stories. For Xi Jinping, being a man of the people means looking the part. That's from the New York Times. South China Morning Post. Xi says it's wrong to, quote, badmouth China state firms, but country needs private sector as well. And the Straits Times, Donald Trump admits friendship with China's Xi Jinping could be over.
Okay.
This sounds like stuff that you would find on U.S. Google.
Look up like Winnie the Pooh. See.
All right, look, that's a good point.
Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh.
For those who are unaware, Winnie the Pooh became a meme that was effectively suppressed in China because people would basically juxtapose Xi Jinping with Winnie the Pooh because people believe. And to be honest, in the face they do.
I can see a little resemblance. I could see it.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
There's definitely.
Okay,
oh
so-
yeah, there are.
Yeah, there's
some
pictures right here. We got them right here. Perfect. Okie doke. All right, so yeah, we have here China Band's Winnie the Pooh film after. China Band's Winnie the Pooh film to stock comparisons to President Xi. That's The Guardian.
And we can link to these in the
As a matter of
comments
fact,
description.
what we might do, I would have to figure out some solutions to this. I may just use a virtual, like a hypercam or Fraps kind of thing to basically just screenshot the to do that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, people just like view it. Kind of what they do on Joe Rogan because they have like a separate TV monitor with the computer and then switch cameras every so often for that.
Right.
That could work.
That makes sense.
All right, that would probably be a good idea. Alrighty, so that's cool. So, aside from international stuff, let's talk about a guy that really likes beer and football, and he likes to drink beer, and he liked to drink beer back in high school. Did you know he liked to drink beer back in high school?
Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's pretty interesting to think about just how much he liked beer. As a matter of fact, see, I'm a substitute teacher in Chicago Public Schools. I was over at a high school on the Northwest Side. In the teacher's lounge, one of the teachers had on his phone the hearing from yesterday, and they were showing off like how he answered that question. You know, did you drink beer in high school? And he said, yes, I liked beer. I did like beer. He went on for probably about at least a minute about how much he liked beer.
Yeah.
We should have just said one word, yes.
Yeah.
Left it at that. That's how you talk in a court setting. You do not give any additional information. You answer the question yes or no. If you can.
As a federal judge, he should definitely know better.
He should know better.
I mean, he came out like angry and swinging that he lost any sort of credibility he had.
Right. You
That-
know,
and he's lying. He obviously like raped Dr. Ford.
Yeah, you know, I would argue that he lost what little credibility he had among the left wing. Among the right wing, let's see.
did he ever have credibility
didn't.
among the left wing? I don't know
Probably
about
not.
that one.
Probably
No,
not.
he never
Unless
had.
you're talking about like more moderate to right, like blue dog Democrats. Let's go on Gab right now. This is, for those of you who aren't aware, Gab is essentially a Twitter alternative that was developed basically. It's effectively became an alternative for people, especially the alt-right, that got banned off of Gab. This is basically Twitter with virtually no censorship.
Is Alex Jones on this, or does he still have a Twitter account? I
I
don't
think he was
remember what
banned
happened
off
with that.
I'm almost certain.
One really interesting thing. It was Trevor Noah on the Daily Show. He pointed out how he showed a clip of Kavanaugh was asked when do you know how much you've had is too much, and he said that like, oh, you know that chart, the blood and alcohol chart.
The chart.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was a chart for it.
I don't know
there
if
was a
he's
chart.
ever looked at that chart in his life before.
I'm not sure if he has the chart.
No, I don't think any high schooler carries around that fucking chart with them.
Yeah,
I drank this much tonight.
There is an app though, or not even an app. It's like a website. Let me pull up the website. Actually, blood alcohol content meter. There's literally hell of a website.
The guy is yesterday's hearing just showed he was so full of shit.
So I have a funny story about BAC counters.
Yeah.
When I was graduated pretty recently from University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Nice.
And one of the things that happened there was I got caught for underage drinking.
Oh boy.
So I had to go to a class, and they told us alcohol is bad. I mean, like all the stuff you might expect from that kind of.
We might expect
Yeah,
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
but at the end, they suggested that we download this Wisconsin State Police app that has it has one of those BAC counters. Like you put in the number of drinks you've had, and then if it's like too much, there's some like cop that pops up and it's red light flashing on the screen.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, incidentally, what I'm doing right now is putting on the windscreen for my mic so it like cuts down on that background noise. Do we have we have a couple others.
Oh, that's what they're called, windscreens.
Windscreens. Or they're like pop filters are also called.
Pop filters. Okay.
Yeah. You might here's one extra.
Really?
Probably, yeah.
Does it do anything?
Try putting it on.
Okay. So
Like right now, it's tapping my mic and it's not quite as loud as it was.
okay, so it cuts down on background noise.
Cuts down background noise, exactly.
Okay. Good try.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. Do you have one, Julian, or do you have?
They're very soft.
That's fine.
Yeah, sure is.
We'll see about the
Yeah,
audio.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
just
just glad to put mine on just in case. Let's see. So let's say I'm gonna do mine right now. I haven't had anything to drink, but let's say I had. So I am male, United States. Let's say 250 pounds. That's not my weight. And I have. Let's say it's been half an hour since my first drink. And how many drinks I've had? One drink in the half hour. 0.00. So less than 0.1. Less than 0.01 grams.
Okay.
Yeah, and the legal, like the threshold from DWI to DUI in Illinois is 0.08.
I think
it's
isn't it 0.08 everywhere?
It might be.
Okay.
I
forget all those
I think
numbers.
that's national.
It might be. Because under 0.08 you are DWI, which is driving while intoxicated. DUI is driving under the influence, which is more than 0.08.
Yeah, don't drink and drive, kids. We're not
don't
advocating that.
Even if you're careful.
If you've had like one drink, just take a fucking Uber.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of
If
fact,
you plan on drinking, do not drive a car.
Yeah. My dad once said that driving drunk is fun, but you shouldn't do it.
No. Because people can die. There are very serious consequences.
Yes.
Absolutely can. And yeah, I mean, like driving, that's just a bad idea in general to really operate heavy machinery under the influence of a drug. Like that's why it says operate heavy machinery. Like you might think like, oh, I don't work in a factory, I can do any of this, but no, a car is heavy machinery.
This is another random point that hypothetically, if say recreational weed gets like passed in Illinois,
right?
Then that's a whole nother mess of laws.
There already is medical marijuana in some form in Illinois.
No, there is?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But sorry, Charlie, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, in Colorado, it's like, you got to go to a separate building. It's very structured in a manner that they do everything they can to be professional and shit like that. And, I mean, the laws you have to deal with, you'd have to deal with, like, driving while high and...
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I would be curious to see about statistics to see if in states where marijuana has been legalized, there's a higher instances of people driving while high. Yeah, I think William's going to pull that up.
Yeah, I'll do this real quick.
Because, I mean, in Colorado, people are definitely more chill. There's just this kind of laid-back attitude that makes people high in general.
Okay, cannabis and driving from CODOT.
Colorado Department.
So, and actually, we have Denver Post right here. Let me just pull up this article here. As Colorado auto deaths involving marijuana rise, CDOT is asking thousands how they feel about driving under Pot's influence.
Just to clarify, when is this article?
That's
a good point. March 25th of this year.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty recent.
And it is from the Denver Post.
It is from the Denver Post. And it is paywall, of course. I'll read the first few sentences, or the first phrase. Amid a rise in... we have actually maybe a primary source here. Or no, prior... Okay, this article is from Denver Post. Earlier in the year, traffic fatalities linked to marijuana up sharply in Colorado. Is legalization to blame? And that's also paywall. Looks like there might be a study. Hold on. That I can look up. Let's see. Marijuana.
Could look nationally too. I mean, there's a lot more states have it legalized these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna Google marijuana traffic fatalities.
Are you?
I'm plugged. I should be plugged in. Yeah.
Do I hear you?
I hear me.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we have. Here we go. We have something from. This is actually looks like a journal article here from the NCBI. I'm not sure what that stands for. The effect of cannabis compared with alcohol in driving. I'll just read the read the abstract really quick. Let's see. The prevalence of both alcohol and cannabis use and the high morbidity associated with motor vehicle crashes has led to a plethora of research on the link between the two. Drunk drivers are involved in 25% of motor vehicle fatalities, and many accidents involve drivers who test positive for cannabis. Cannabis and alcohol acutely impair several driving-related skills in a dose-related fashion, but the effects of cannabis vary more between individuals than they do with alcohol because of tolerance, differences in smoking technique, and different absorptions of delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol or THC, which is the active ingredient in marijuana. Detrimental effects of cannabis use vary in a dose-related fashion and are more pronounced with highly automatic driving functions than with more complex tasks that require conscious control. whereas with alcohol produces an opposite pattern of impairment. Because of both this and increased awareness that they're impaired, marijuana smokers tend to compensate effectively while driving by utilizing a variety of behavioral strategies. For example, combining marijuana with alcohol eliminates, however, the ability to use such strategies effectively, however, and results in impairment even at doses which would be insignificant were they of either drug alone. Epidemiological studies have been inconclusive regarding whether cannabis uses causes an increased risk of increased risk of accidents. In contrast, unanimity exists that alcohol use increases crash risk.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the risk from driving under the influence of both alcohol and cannabis is greater than the risk of driving under the influence of either alone, which makes sense. You don't want to get a double high. That's just my little comment there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just in general, it's not a good idea to drink and drive.
It's not at all.
It's not a good idea to mix alcohol and marijuana.
Not at all.
It's not a good idea to drive after you've mixed alcohol and marijuana, and it's not a good idea to drive after you've used marijuana.
It's not a good idea to mix alcohol and marijuana in the first place, in my opinion. The abstract concludes by saying
It says it's not a good idea to mix marijuana and alcohol.
It doesn't say that. That's just my own observation based on you don't want to get like an upper and a downer at the same time.
Yeah. Also, speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
Back in my.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. The abstract concludes by saying future research should focus on resolving contradictions posted by previous studies, and patients who smoke cannabis should be counseled to wait several hours before driving and avoid combining the two drugs. Yeah, and I knew a guy in high school who got high and drunk at the same time. He blacked out, and when he woke up, his iPhone was shattered.
Oh.
Yeah. So this would have been back in about 2011, I think. 2010 or 2011, I forget exactly when.
Okay.
Back when an iPhone was like pretty much a status symbol among suburban kids. Remember back when smartphones were like brand new and like you had to be like bougie as fuck to actually own one.
I remember in middle school when the cool kids had razors.
Yeah. Nathan had a razor.
That was his thing.
Really?
Yeah, let me pull up the phone I had really quick. Motorola C39.
I wonder if kids these days even know what razors are.
They do. I know for a fact because they remember them when they were like really young. Maybe their parents had one.
Yeah.
So that's what they're nostalgic for. This is the phone that I had when I was young. Brick phone.
Is that a Nokia?
That is a Motorola C139.
Motorola. Okay.
I had a Nokia. I forget it was like 6655, something like that.
Nice. Did it have the?
Oh yeah.
Was that the ringtone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's a Motorola. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what my ringtone was. It was like it was called Reinvention. It's that song that goes. I think it's called Reinvention.
Those things were like practically indestructible though. Like I remember like just as a 13-year-old just like standing there and dropping my phone and then being like, it didn't break.
And not only
then dropping it again.
Remember the battery life on these things? They lasted like a week without having to plug them in.
They did, yeah.
That was my favorite part about them. Like I didn't get my first smartphone until 2015. Before that, I've had like 4 basic phones. Like before my smartphone, I had a little Samsung thing with a slide-out keyboard. Before that, I had a Motorola W376, whatever it was a flip phone. Before that, I had a different Motorola flip phone, and then before that, I had this one.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a late adopter when it came to smartphones, and sometimes I almost wish that I still just had a basic phone because I find myself.
Well, it's cheaper.
You could go to 7-Eleven and get yourself a trap phone.
A track phone, yeah. Matter of fact,
Trap phone.
Trap phone, yeah.
I mean, you could get either, but.
Yeah, the phone I have right now, this LG right now, this actually is a track phone. It is like I got this from TrackPhone. I've used their service since like 2006.
Interesting.
And yeah, you heard the beep right there.
Yeah, the beep. Yeah, beeping.
There you go. Yeah, it's like a basic smartphone. I mean, it runs KitKat, which is pretty old.
What's
like older.
KitKat?
It's a type of Android operating system. Yeah, Android operating system. It's from a few years ago. I've heard of like security issues, but honestly, like I use it for like the most basic stuff, so I'm not too concerned about that in most cases. But anyway. Yeah, maybe I may upgrade in like a year or so to like a more modern, like larger phone, but as long as it has a removable battery, because that's like that's kind of like a litmus test for me as regards to phones. But it would be nice to have just like a basic communication device I could have on me,
right?
Because I don't necessarily need to bring a smartphone everywhere I go.
No.
If I'm walking, just down the street to the fruit market, I don't need to bring a phone with me. I usually don't. As a matter of fact, I just leave mine home and just bring my. Bring a wallet and a watch and keys. That's really all I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I actually got a pocket watch on Amazon not so
you
long
did?
ago.
Oh,
it's
a pocket watch?
A pocket watch, yeah. Just press the button if I can figure out. Yeah, that's right.
Figure
press the button,
out
the thing
how it
comes
works.
open,
Press
yeah.
it. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
How much was it?
This was $11, and I got a gold one too.
$11.
Oh, nice. How much was the gold one?
It was the same price.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's not obviously it's
nuts.
not gold. It's like gold plated or gold colored.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not gold plated. It's gold colored.
Something like that.
Yeah, the brand is called Mutter. Mudder.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Our show's new sponsor.
Yeah.
Pocket watches.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Mutter watches. Oh boy.
Brought to you by Arby's or something.
Brought to you by Arby's. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, let's see if we can get any sponsors.
Yeah,
that would be excellent. You know, I'm trying to think of who I could contact for a sponsor. I could go to the random businesses up in Rogers Park and ask us and see if they want to
We
sponsor
could,
the
yeah,
show.
keep it
Brought
keep
to you
it
by
local.
Harold's Chicken Shack.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? Speaking of Harold's, that sounds kind of good right now, honestly. Some Harold's.
What's Harold's?
Harold's Chicken Shack. It's like, you know,
Chicken,
okay.
chicken restaurant.
you know Chicken Shack in Evanston?
Yeah.
It's like that, except it's like a local Chicago chain.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're mostly, until very recently, pretty much all of them were on the south side, but then they're starting to branch out.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. How long have we haven't been broadcasting super long. Let's see how long we've been
Yeah,
on.
let's see.
Half an hour at this point.
Oh, that's
Okay.
nothing.
That's that half hour went by fast, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could keep this up for hours. We could keep this up long into the
Exactly.
night, just talking, you know?
Yeah.
See, that's something that's not really discussed anymore. It's the lost art of conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
you know, thinking about, like, I'm trying to think about, like, how conversation is taught in school today. I mean, it still is, especially in, like, social studies classes, because that's my discipline. You're expected to know how to construct a rational argument. Like, that's
Right.
really, you know, I often tell people, like, social studies and history classes are essentially applied English courses because you basically use the same type of skills you learn in English class
Right.
applied to analyzing historical documents, for example. And if you
Okay.
do social sciences, you might learn about economics or psychology. That's
That makes
basically essentially how that's taught. As a matter of fact, let me bring up the CCSS really quick, Common Core State Standards.
Okay.
Oh, what are you going to say, Charlie?
So I guess in terms of like educational theory, who do you go for? Like Vygotsky? What's his name?
There's
Vygotsky?
Vygotsky's one. The other really
Vygotsky was a Marxist.
He was, yeah. As a matter of fact, probably the really preeminent guy that I'm really been fascinated with is Paulo Freire.
Oh, he was a Marxist too.
That's he was a Marxist. He was very much like he saw education as cultural work.
Yeah.
And he was very into that. Like, probably his most famous work is called Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely I highly recommend that book to
Yeah.
anybody who hasn't read it. And he's written a lot of other short articles. Like, even if you aren't like on the left, it's still a very fascinating thing to like see that type of educational theory playing out.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a modern educational theorist? I'm not as familiar with
He's
him.
old.
He's old. I believe he's deceased now. Let me see. He
Yeah,
was
he's
very
dead.
active in the. He died in '97. I believe Pedagogy of the Oppressed was released in the late '60s. Let me look this up really quick. Let's see. Yeah, this guy's like probably my favorite educational theorist. Let's see, bibliography. Pedagogy of the Oppressed. 93. Oh, 93, really?
93, really?
That can't be right. Hold on.
No. it
Yeah,
can't.
okay. Published in Portuguese in 1968, translated to English in
okay.
1970. That makes
I
sense.
see.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew it was like sometime in that era because he did help. I think it was Costa Rica. He helped
Yeah.
develop education there. Yeah, that's right. It
Yeah.
was Costa Rica.
Yeah.
He after the government changed there, after they had a transition of essentially economic systems, he helped essentially develop their national education system, and he sort of revolutionized the way culture, like Iberian Latin culture, was taught in that part of South America, Central America.
And how'd that turn out?
You know, the results of it were really fascinating. It's been studied a lot because up until that point, especially in those areas that had been heavily colonized by Europeans, it was very much a Eurocentric model of teaching until he came over and essentially sort of reoriented the curricular focus of Costa Rica into a very like sort of native type of, very indigenous type of learning.
Okay.
So
Is that still going on today?
I would assume so. It wouldn't surprise me if it is. Let me just Google education in Costa Rica real quick. Education in Costa Rica, Freire.
I mean, I guess.
This could also be a topic for future podcasts or
Yeah. Let's see here.
future shows.
Education in Costa Rica. Let me put in quotes. Paulo Freire.
Right.
Yeah, if any of our listeners are Costa Rican or familiar with education policy in Costa Rica, please feel free to leave comments,
certainly.
links.
Yes, we are going to be activating a phone line in the near future, so we'll be taking calls if anybody is interested in that. Let me just... You guys hear that?
What?
Yeah. It's the background, like someone else in the...
Neighbors.
Yeah. Very good neighbors. Let's see. Wait, it was Costa Rica, right? It wasn't Honduras, was it? I'm trying to think.
No.
Let me make sure. I know it was some. Yeah, I'm almost certain it was Costa Rica. I just wanted to take a look here. Yeah, banking model of education. Like he was. That's what he was criticizing. As in like this is pretty much at the core of his pedagogy. Basically, he was very. He described education at that time as a banking model, as when like knowledge or information is put into the teacher, into the students' minds and withdrawn on assessments. Like there's no like critical thinking. It's just information goes in and is come back. And it comes back
everything's
out.
for the test.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, the thing about like him and like Vygotsky, like all that school of thought comes out of like critical theory, which comes out of Marxism.
Correct.
It comes like today, if you want to look at educational theory, you look at the Frankfurt School. Okay. Which is very Marxist.
Yeah, it's very
leaning.
If you could say a little more about that for our listeners who are not familiar.
That's true. Charlie, if you want to expand on that a little bit, I'm not familiar with the Frankfurt model specifically. What I am familiar with a lot is a very traditional American thinker, John Dewey. He was he was one of the first like Western European, it was sort of like Western Hemisphere educators that was very critical of just like transmitting facts and then getting them back out. Like rote memorization is exactly what he was against.
Yeah.
Right.
He was very much into like what is considered basically to be the gold standard of education today, which is individualization, because like all teachers nowadays understand that not all students learn the same way.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they can't like. You can't have a one-room schoolhouse with 75 kids in it, ranging from age 5 to 13. Because it doesn't work. That's like the whole American image of the Little Red Schoolhouse. What didn't even work back then, honestly. I mean, it worked to the point where children learned basic vocational skills that they needed to like follow in their father's carpentry business or whatever.
I mean that's why schools were started in the first place.
I could see that model working for say kindergarten or maybe like. First grade, second grade to learn very basic skills, but
I mean like kindergarten through like 7th or 8th grade in the same room does not really work too well, because although you may have some independent assignments, the fact that like a teacher has to accommodate for all ages at the same time, it can be very difficult. If not impossible in a lot of senses. And as a matter of fact, the concept of the high school did not really exist in its full form. It existed in a sense in that there were high schools. There were like college preparatory private high schools. It wasn't until about the early 20th century that this idea of all students after 8th grade should go to high school became prevalent.
In the U.S., we're talking about a U.S. context at least.
What's weird too is that the idea of public education was fought against.
It was,
That was so unheard of. That public education, we have to educate the general masses.
I have an interesting Evanston-related story to this.
This is still a very hotly debated issue today.
As a matter of fact, very like sort of a historical thing. Not a whole lot of people know this about Evanston, which incidentally is where the three of us are from. When Evanston Township High School was founded in 1883, and before that, the only high school that existed in the town was essentially Northwestern Prep, is what I believe was called at the time. The preparatory school of Northwestern.
Is it Ricemore?
No, Ricemore came later. That's not affiliated with Northwestern. Northwestern had their own prep school. It was eventually renamed to Evanston Academy and was closed in like was called Evanston Academy.
Evanston Academy.
Yeah. Learning new things about Evanston all the time.
It was closed in I believe 1920 because by that time ETHS had really come into its own and like nobody was really going there anymore because they were all going ETHS. But incidentally, it's where I believe Fisk Hall is now on the Northwestern campus. That was the original Evanston Academy building.
Fisk Hall, what is Fisk Hall?
Fisk. Let me see. Actually, confirm this really quick. Evanston Academy. I believe that's the building it was in Fisk. I can just pull up a picture of it just to confirm. Let me just Google it here. Evanston Academy, Fisk Hall. Yeah, Fisk Hall. That's what it was. Let's see here. Old college. Oh, you know what? I know how to pull this up. There's a website. I like browse this website for fun. It's called Illinois High School Glory Days. It's essentially devoted to cataloging all of the high schools in Illinois that have closed.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they have a page for it. Yeah.
What's your favorite closed Illinois high school if you had to pick one? Or maybe let's say a top 3.
That's such a tough one. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll talk specifically about Chicago ones as
Evanston St. George.
Oh, Evanston St. George. That was until about 1970. There were 2 Catholic high schools in Evanston.
Really?
Marywood, which is now where the Evanston Civic Center is. I believe that's his building. That was the all girls one. Let me see if I can pull a picture of it here.
Okay.
Yep, there it is. That was Marywood.
Okay.
That was Marywood High School.
That makes sense.
St. George High School was the boys' one. I'm not sure if the building still exists, but let me check. Okay, let's see where it was located. 350 Sherman Avenue. Okay, so I believe that's close to the beach, I think. Where is that at?
Close to the beach.
Let me see.
Would that be like downtown Evanston?
Actually,
today?
no. 350 Sherman.
Oh, okay.
Parking lot for St. Francis Hospital. That's where it is. That's where it was.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's where that was. Let me look up Evanston Academy. So this is what it was. So there's a picture of it there.
Okay.
That's sort of like that's like a modern picture.
It kind of looks like City Hall.
It kind of does. It is. Let's see. Okay. Oh, actually, there's like a little right up here. I'll just read this. The Preparatory Department of Northwestern University opened the preparatory school in 1859. So that would have, I assume, have been the first high school in Evanston.
Yeah.
There was felt a need by the university's faculty to provide advanced academics to those who wished to attend Northwestern, so those students would be prepared to attend college. And to give you guys context, that would essentially mean taking classes in like Latin, Greek, botany, physics, those kind of things. That can
Botany?
botany. That was actually a pretty common high school class at the time. It would be like horticulture nowadays, the way we refer to in some cases, but still botany in a lot of senses.
Right.
I'll talk about it later. Anyway, the first boys were admitted in 1859, with the female students being admitted beginning in 1869.
Oh.
Originally, the school allowed for a 3-year pre-prep school for 10-year-olds and up, with a 4-year prep school to follow. So basically, it would be a middle school followed by a high school. System was eventually cut to a 4-year prep school. However, the prep school was lodged in the former college building of Northwestern University. I'm referring to like Northwestern College for like prep students or freshmen. It was renamed the Academy in 1892 and moved to a larger facility in 1899. Prospered for many years under the leadership. Oh, there we go. Under the leadership of Herbert Franklin Fisk, who was the school's director or principal from 1873 to 1904. Was known as Northwestern Academy until 1905, when it was changed to Evanston Academy. And like I suspected, the expansion and availability of area public high schools, particularly I would imagine Evanston and New Trier, and the start of World War I would ultimately cause the academy to be closed, and it closed at the end of the 16 to 17 school year.
So who's this Fisk guy? Is there any more interesting history about him, or is he just
let's see, actually,
pedagogue who?
I think he was really just pretty much just a pedagogue. I would imagine like
now has a building in Northwestern named after him.
Pretty much like
that's one thing about Evanston High School that
I
wonder if is that ever going to change. Is that the cafeterias are named after racists?
Were they actually racist?
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, weren't they like slave owners?
No. Well, first of all, I don't believe so. Let me. I can look this up. Henry Boltwood was. Okay, let me explain also what that's in reference to. The first 4 superintendents of ETHS were Henry Boltwood. I don't remember the guy's first name. I think it was like it might have been Michael. Michael Beardsley, Francis Bacon, and what's the guy's name? Lloyd Michael. Those were the first 4 superintendents of ETHS. Lloyd Michael retired in the 1960s, so it would not have been a slave owner because it would have been
right. Okay. Not slave owner, but like racists. I heard like
not necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't know. I did. Okay, here's actually something I should bring up. I had a sociology professor at DePaul, Noel Barker, and I mentioned that I went to ETHS, and he said that he had a friend there that went in 1958. Now, I have not been able to verify this with anybody who went to ETHS around this time. There are Facebook pages with alumni, and I have asked around about this. So I just want to clarify, I have not been able to independently verify this. So this may be very much a complete rumor, but according to his friend that graduated in 1958, okay, let me see how I can phrase this. If there was a rumor that you were in an interracial relationship, they would call you to the principal's office and ask you to break up.
Wow.
That's the rumor that I have heard.
Okay.
I have not been able to verify that, so I just want to say
And
that
this was in
rumor.
the 1950s.
Yeah.
This was in the
That's not that
1950s. I mean, to
surprising.
be fair, like, okay, I should mention, for those of you who are unaware, Evanston was very conservative until about the 1980s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
It's
Evanston
the home
was,
of the
was
Women's
Republican.
Christian Temperance Union,
was
which
indeed,
is
and
the
it-
organization behind Prohibition.
Yeah.
And Nixon carried Evanston in 72.
Really?
Yes, he did.
That's Evanston was pretty Republican.
And it's completely the opposite now.
Yeah, it is.
Let me
Well,
look up.
I mean, there still are some Republicans,
Yeah.
There are
but in
some.
general,
It's-
it's not.
it's not like
It's pretty liberal place.
There is a Republican Party of Evanston. I know that for a fact.
there is.
Yeah.
I did
Government
not know
politics.
that.
Okay, I'm just going to read off Wikipedia really quick about all this. Okay. Evanston was heavily Republican in voter identification from the time of the Civil War up to the 1960s. Nixon carried Evanston the 1968 presidential election. I don't know about 72, but he did in 68. The city began trending Democrat in the 60s, though it did not elect a Democratic mayor until 93, and that was the recently passed Lorraine Morton.
Oh.
Yep, she was the very first Democratic mayor, and the very first, she was the second female mayor. Joan Barr was before her. The city swung particularly heavily to the Democrats in the 90s, along with many other Chicago suburbs, and now almost exclusively identifies with Democrats in elections and all levels of government. Incidentally, I didn't know this until recently. In the primary in 2016, Bernie Sanders 45%, Hillary Clinton 54%.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, I kind of surprised it was that close because the Democratic Party of Evanston did endorse Hillary Clinton. I mean, Hillary Clinton spent her formative years in Park Ridge, which is just west.
There's a Republican Party of Evanston.
There is, yeah. Let me Google.
I did not know.
Let me Google that really quick.
That
Like
that's-
for us today, that sounds surprising.
Yeah.
But if you consider the history of
yeah.
Evanston,
I mean,
Republican Club of Evanston. Or
oh, it's a club.
It's a club.
Not a
of course,
party.
it's a club.
It's a club. So it's okay. Here we go.
They don't have enough members for
I
a
guess
party.
not. Here we go. Okay, committee purpose.
Oh, they
This
have a
is from-
website.
Actually, well, this isn't. I don't think their own website. This is the Illinois Campaign for Political
This is
Reform.
not a nice looking website, by
No,
the
it's
way.
not.
It's
It's all
not
yellow.
It looks like a school bus. Is what
Yeah,
it actually
yeah,
looks
yeah.
like.
Designed in 2004.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Let me just. Incidentally, the Illinois Campaign for Political Reform says it's a 501c3, not affiliated with any of the campaigns or groups. So. Okay, so the committee purpose is the Republican Party of Evanston is an outreach arm supporting the Evanston Republican Organization and the Republican Party. Its mission is to recruit members, to inform them on political and civic issues, and to energize them to support Republican Party candidates. So, it's a social club essentially. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like
sounds
any-
kind of a futile
Yeah.
Yeah,
mission.
you're not gonna
in
get anything.
Evanston.
I highly,
2018.
I highly doubt it is related to the Illinois Republican Party. It may very well be.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Speaking of Illinois Republican Party, we should talk about the upcoming governor election,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
where we have
All right.
two very
Wealthy people.
two very wealthy candidates. I forget where, but it was predicted somewhere that it's going to be the most costly
Election?
governor race or election.
Oh, that
Yeah,
makes
Maybe
sense.
not election, but at least governor's race anywhere
It's
in
essentially,
the U.S.
I like to think
ever.
of it as the real life battle of the billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
you guys
that's-
know wrestling at all. Like, there was a story arc in the early 2000s with Vince McMahon versus Donald Trump, and it was called
Yeah.
the Battle of the Billionaires.
Yeah.
This is essentially the real life version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like. Well, Rauner, I don't like him because he's a Republican. I don't agree
Okay.
with the Republican platform. But I mean, I'm gonna give Pritzker my vote, but I'm not doing anything else for him. I'm not gonna phone bank for him. I'm not gonna put a fucking sign in front
Yeah.
of
That's
my
fair.
house. It's just
I'm actually not allowed to put up political signs in this apartment.
Oh.
alright.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to put any sort of signs. I was going to put a Proud Union Home sign in one of the windows, but I
Yeah.
can't.
Is that a just an apartment rule, or is it
It's
like
a lease. It's in my lease.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just weird. It's just I'm so sick and tired of millionaires and billionaires running for governor and political positions.
You know, I don't see that changing in the future because they're the ones that can afford to do so.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, political campaigns are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the reason why Trump was able to probably become elected was because, he's so wealthy.
Not only did he
Well,
bankroll his
the
own-
thing about that is Hillary spent like 3 times more. Than
Yeah,
him.
but not only did Donald Trump bankroll his own campaign, he actually, towards the end, I believe this was in August or September of 2016, began accepting donations, and people actually donated.
Oh.
Yeah, people donated to Donald Trump despite the fact that he could, like, bankroll his own campaign, which I thought was kind of fascinating.
I mean, it's funny on some level, but it's also
sad. Well, I don't know if like Pritzker is genuine about changing the tax code in Illinois, or if he's just doing that to like get people who are farther in the left on board with him. Because I don't know. I mean, he could just be bullshitting everyone like he's going to change the tax code. That would be great if more wealthy people in the state would pay more money, but...
it seems like it would be counter to his interests as an Illinois billionaire.
I don't know if he's bullshitting people or if he's actually genuine about it.
Yeah, I mean, politicians lying to people, what?
Heaven forfend, right? Oh boy. Let's see. So what were we talking about? Republican close Evanston. Like, it's kind of shocking. I was about to mention. Let me pull this back up. Okay, 2016 general election. Hillary Clinton 87%, Donald Trump 7%.
7. Okay.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I actually did. Where I used to live in Evanston, down the street there was a house that had a Gary Johnson sign.
Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't really surprise me. Like, people were looking for alternatives that year anyway. In general.
Yeah.
Like, people wanted like people wanted an outsider anyway. That's why Sanders and Trump were both so popular. Like,
right.
I put a populist person that was not part of any like Republican or Democratic machine. I mean, to be fair, one could argue that Donald Trump was the one that was bankrolling the machine for the Republicans for a long time, but he wasn't a politician, and that's what appealed to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the unfortunate cause of a lot of misunderstandings and diplomatic